SmorgasBord Radio Show.
Well, hello, everybody. Good afternoon. This is Chris, and this is the SmorgShow podcast, episode 93, streaming live on YouTube for those who are out there. It's been a couple of months, a lot of stuff to catch up on, and I'm going to need somebody to help me unload what's been going on here the last few months. Let's see who's going to come down and who's going to be our special visitor today.
Everybody, you ready to rock?
You gotta wait till the door closes.
I was at the door.
Oh, we gotta do it all over again.
Oh, come on, man.
Hey, Jerry.
How you doing?
You're back so soon. I know it's been 2 months, but it seems like it was just 30 seconds ago when I finished the last episode on my iPod.
Well, there you go. And you said, what the heck happened here? Oh, well.
That was a good time. Man, it's April already. And thanks for coming back out to the SmorgShow Lounge.
Okay,
Very
cool.
special day. But I don't think we're quite done yet. I heard we're going to have another special guest here in just a second.
Yeah, I think I hear something in the distance.
Yeah, set her down right over there. Hey, near the big tower.
Is it who I think it is?
It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's a helicopter.
It's Dave. Dave Jackson.
All right, set her down.
Wow. We got the band back together.
I don't think you'd ever actually catch me in one of those things unless I was some sort of a medical patient or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Not really a helicopter kind of guy. Hey, folks.
What a dramatic entrance, both of you.
Yeah.
I saw the on-air light. I thought I'd stop by.
I'm glad you did. Sorry, let me just get situated here. It's last time we did a show with 3 people at the same time, so it'll be a little unusual.
Well, just when you, Allie, and myself.
That's true.
We used to do it, the 3 of us then, but
yeah,
that's been a while.
that has been a while.
Yeah.
And certainly the last time both of you were out here together, I think it was 2011.
Oh, yeah, probably.
A long time. So a lot's happened since we last chatted. You, Jerry, were out here in January.
Was it January? I thought it was February.
Oh, February. Yeah, you're right. Dave, you were here January. Jerry's February.
January.
In March, I had a little incident. It was St. Patrick's Day. I was on the treadmill and...
Many incidents happen on St. Patrick's Day.
Not before the events, though.
Okay.
Yeah, this was Saturday morning. I had gone to a concert the night before, and I had this really spicy jambalaya dinner. I'm sort of jumping ahead here, but just to give you a little bit of sequence of events. But I didn't think of anything of it. I felt fine. I got on the treadmill, and about 15 minutes into my exercise, felt a little, my chest started to feel heavy. And I then started to feel a little nauseous and very lightheaded. And there's signs all over the treadmill. If you feel lightheaded, dizziness comes on, get off the treadmill. So I did. And I barely struggled to get back to like a seating area in the lobby area. It was at Planet Fitness. I was at the health club.
Okay.
And so I sat down and I had my finger on 911 on my phone. I felt like I was going to go down. Even when sitting down, I just did not feel right. So about 15 minutes in, I started to recollect myself. Things seemed like it had passed. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go home and see what happens. So I got in my car. Again, sort of like 911 is like on my screen. I just haven't hit send yet. I got home. I ran up the stairs or walked up the stairs actually. And I started to feel that feeling again. I thought, yeah, I got to call my doctor. So my doctor says, don't even mess with this, get into the hospital. So I got in the hospital And of course, they do all the immediate tests, the EKGs. They did an ultrasound, the echo.
Echo, yeah.
And they kept me overnight for observations because they said, oh, you have to get a stress test next. And they didn't have anybody there on the Saturday to do the stress test.
By the way, did they do the enzyme? They did draw blood to get the enzymes?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure they did.
Okay.
They were drawing blood every couple hours.
Yeah, and when you're in the hospital, they do that.
Yeah, they poke you, they prod you.
That's just to keep you from sleeping.
Yeah.
They don't want you to sleep when you're in the hospital.
That's right.
Oh, you might actually start to heal.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, so Saturday night closes out, and they pretty much tell me that nothing is coming back on any of the reports, which is good. But they still wanted to keep me overnight for observations. The next day, there's again nobody to give a stress test. Like, well, why did you guys keep me in the hospital for this? Well, for observations. Like, okay, I get that. They released me
for insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought insurance would have wanted me out of there. They're not really keen on the overnight stay.
A lot of times they keep you though for a few days.
Yeah,
sometimes they don't get paid if they don't keep you for a couple days.
That's true. Well, they released me about noon, but they said, here's a prescription. You need to get your stress test within the next 48 hours. Can we trust you to do that? I said, absolutely. Well, the next 48 hours, they should have had me hooked up to the stress test because that's what I was dealing with, just making the phone calls to make the appointment. One thing after another, they're asking me, well, who prescribed the stress test? And I'm looking at it. I can't make out the name. There's no doctor name on it. There's like a signature. I could sort of make out the last name. And they said, we don't have anybody here at that facility. This is at the place where I'm supposed to call.
Yeah.
Like, well, so then I have to call the hospital back and talk to the records department, which is like the bowels of the whole hospital. There's a guy, sounds like he's eating a corned beef sandwich on the phone. He's running to the elevator. He's like, I'm going to lose you. I'm losing the signal. I'll be in my office in 10 minutes. Call me there. Hangs up. I was like, what is this? I call him again. It just sounds like he's in a factory and he's looking at my records. Yeah, you're with that person. It seems like he was able to make out the last name and he was able to figure that person was associated with this doctor. So I called that doctor's office. They said, we don't have anybody by that name here. Oh. So I said, I'm trying to make this appointment with my stress test. I've got 48 hours to do this.
This is typical too. This is not just an anomaly.
Yeah.
This is everyday life.
Yeah.
In the medical world.
So I called back the records department. I told them the situation. I got somebody else. And they said, oh, we know who that person is. They work for this doctor. It's like, oh, well, that makes sense because no, it doesn't make sense because I don't remember seeing the doctor that they gave me the first time was the doctor that I remember seeing. So it would make sense that he would have written it.
Why didn't they just give you the script? Or they did give you a script, but you couldn't read the name.
I couldn't read the name. And the main doctor in the office wasn't on the heading. So long story longer, I find out that they said, do you realize that this is a nuclear stress test? I said, what's a nuclear stress test? They said, well, we simulate the stress test. You sit in a chair and we'll elevate your heart rate. We're going to pump you with chemicals, basically.
Yeah, I've had that
It's
one.
a 2.5 hour test, so be prepared. I said, whoa. Why am I not getting on the regular treadmill? They said, well, because your original symptoms were you were dizzy on the treadmill. You can't be on a treadmill. I said, no. That was a very unusual situation. I'm normally a very active person. I exercise. I can get on the treadmill. I want that. Insurance company told me that was a $10,000 test. The one on the treadmill is like $300. Big difference. They said, well, we can't give you a new prescription for that. You have to go to your regular primary care physician. And I went there and finally got the one that I wanted. And I got on the stress test 2 weeks after I was supposed to. And, they told me, yeah, we're going to bring you to your 100%, which is like 169. I said, I don't think I ever get that high. Like
169.
when I'm exercising, I usually do the 85% target rate, which is like, I don't know, 150. They said, well, we'll see. If you can't make it, we'll stay at 85 and see how that goes. Well, 10 minutes in, they're talking to me, having a conversation. They're elevating the treadmill. And they're like, okay, you're there. Can you go for another 30 seconds? I'm like, really? I'm at 169. I looked over at the monitor and yeah, sure enough, I'm at 169. I said, yeah, I can keep going. I'm feeling good. And they said, you're fine. So long story short about the jambalaya that I opened the story with, I don't know what was going on. Could have been acid reflux. It could have been dehydration. It could have also been the fact that this is the first time I had exercised in about 4 months on a treadmill. And they said something with the vagal nerve. it's something that we all have, like it's a defense mechanism that when the body goes into stress, or like if you ever go to a gym after not exercising and you start doing the weights really fast. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling of, well, you probably don't do weights, but no.
Well, I'm carrying weight all the time, but that's beside the point.
But I've had that before where like I go crazy with the weights and I feel like I'm going to pass out. I get nauseous.
Well, I don't know if I've ever gone that heavy at it, but you got to pace yourself with that. But yeah, I can understand where that would happen.
Anyway, they said it could have been the vagal nerve, but they said, keep an eye on it. So anyway, I'm fine, supposedly, as I'm holding a beer.
Which is awesome news. But then again, you're not really sure why that happened, and it's happened to you twice.
Yeah, well, 10 years ago, I had something similar to that, and I had this Holter monitors, the thing that you just kind of walk around with a day, and then they measure your heart activity, and nothing came back. That's when they said you need to cut back on the caffeine, because what triggered that was I was out at dinner, and it was one of those endless refills of Coke, or whatever, soft drink, caffeinated soft drinks.
Right.
And I got this raciness feeling, and I was sweating, and I had to step outside, and that was happening more and more frequently.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the middle of the night, I'd have these night sweats. And so that's when I went in and had it checked out, and they said, no, it's fine. Get rid of the caffeine. So I'm now caffeine free pretty much.
Well, I have a similar story because about 10 years ago, the similar thing happened to me. Not only heart racing, but then the tightness in the chest and even like little pain in the feet and whatever kind of weird stuff like that. And just feeling like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't catch up with my breathing. It was always like, and just kind of just really tightness and just that.
Like a heaviness?
Yeah, heaviness. And then like I was thinking I could go to bed. I'll try to sleep. I couldn't sleep that night. I felt if I'd gone to sleep, I would have I guess I was being paranoid, but I thought I would die, have a massive heart attack and die. So I couldn't get any sleep tonight. So I had to, the next day, I got up. I didn't feel quite as bad. And said, well, all right, I got to go and take care of some stuff at the DMV, Secretary of State. And when I did that, and when I got out of there, it started to get really bad again. I was in traffic, and I'm like, but luckily for me, where I went to DMV was actually right by Presbyterian, Rush St. Luke's Presbyterian, whatever that they call it, Rush Hospital.
Yeah, that's the old name for it. But
I got vintage. And I went in. They took my blood pressure. Oh crap! They got me a room and did an overnight observation. Did a bunch of tests, drew blood, the usual junk. And they didn't really come up with anything, but so I didn't really know exactly what had done it. But one thing that made me think that was a caffeine-related thing is that, that it was funny, I was in the hospital, then I was away from work for about a week, and then when I came back from work, and it was caffeinated, fully caffeinated, and I started to get similar feelings, tightness in the chest, hard to breathe and all that. It's like, so I made the connection that it must be too much caffeine in my diet. Mm-hmm. And so I just cut it out. So yeah. So when you talk about it, it's like, very similar.
You're very similar. I was going into this show. I thought, what, last time we've been doing our show together, or we gave you a call when we were doing the show, and we always seem to talk about our medical issues. I'm like, let's stay away from medical issues.
We're over 50.
Yeah, I know. So that's our life now. But I wasn't intending that to be the opening story, but unfortunately, that's the most exciting thing that's happened to me in the last 2 months.
But the thing that's good for you is that you find you're actually still in top-notch condition. All things considered.
All things considered, I'm very lucky, and I really appreciate guys. You really know who your friends are during these times, and you guys called me afterwards to check up on me, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Which you've all done for me as well.
Yeah,
I always appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've all been there, so we can definitely our hearts go out to you because hey, we've had that experience. We've had those similar experiences. So how would you? I mean, if you had a similar experience that and you knew somebody close to you that. How would you not want to at least make sure that they're doing well?
Yeah.
I mean, it just, to me, makes sense. I mean, I guess you're heartless so-and-so.
Yeah. It's just amazing of how disconnected all the different services are. Like, I can't even call the hospital, tell me which doctor, prescribed something for me. That's crazy. And I haven't even got to the billing yet. This is like, I'm just trying to make an appointment. It's nuts. But anyway, let's move off the medical stuff. Let's talk about some more happier things. Dave, I would like to move to you. You've been very active in the music world.
Well, yeah. I've been, after about 35 years or so of playing my guitar in my room, not entirely. I mean, in college, I played with some people, live. And I actually did a gig in college. We were Dudes Without Drums.
Yeah.
That was our thing. But I finally decided, well, we had a conversation once, Chris, at Starbucks, where I was telling you I wanted to meet some musicians to play with. And try to get better at my instrument. So I did try that for a while, but that came up pretty much nothing. Mm-hmm. Then I realized the only way I'm going to meet musicians is to go where the musicians are. Mm-hmm. And where they are in your local watering hole / tavern. That's where they are. That's where they go. That's where they play. So I decided to start going there to what's called an open jam. Mm-hmm. And in my case, I specialize in the bluesy kind of sound. So I went to what they call a blues jam. I mean, you could go to a jazz jam, and there are different types of jams you can go to. So I went to one particular one that specializes in blues. So that's what I went to, and I've been meeting a lot of incredible musicians there. I've been getting some stage time, and I've even started singing, which I never thought I would be doing.
Yeah, I turned out to your whatever it was. I don't know if it was your last one or actually probably at least a month now. But you went on kind of late, and I had to leave for work the next day.
Right.
So I didn't actually get to see you, but Jerry captured it on video, and I was actually able to see you singing, and it was like, wow, I don't think I've ever seen you.
Yeah, I don't think you have. And I've been learning a big lesson from this, and that is when you don't have a stage monitor, when you can't hear yourself. Okay, you can hear the musicians behind you. The drums are behind you, and all the amps are behind you. But when you're singing, your voice is being projected out toward the audience, so you can't really hear yourself. So there's a tendency to want to overproject and sing louder than you should. And then when you do that, you become pitchy, as they say. You don't keep the pitch quite right. So I've been learning to kind of feel my voice internally, because there really isn't a very good PA system. You're not really getting good monitors, so you can hear yourself coming back to you. So I've been learning to not compete with the instruments. It is going out there, but I'm not hearing it very well. So I have to kind of tune in or do the Ted Baxter, cup your hand around your ear and do that and try to hear yourself that way.
Could I play a little of this?
Sure. Go ahead.
The audio captured from this. And what is this that you're playing?
This actually is not improvised. This is actually a solo that was done by my attempt to play a solo that was performed by Dion Payton, who eventually he went on to become the band leader for the 43rd Street Blues Band. And this was back when he was Lonnie Brooks' guitarist. And he would open up the sets. And this is a note-for-note transcription that I learned. So I'm playing this like not an improvisation, but I'm playing it like a piece, because I was trying to study his style, which I've been doing, not to copy, but to learn from. That's the whole goal. So this is actually at a little slower tempo, but these are the same notes and phrasing that Dion used this would have been back in the late 80s at Wise Fool's Pub, which is when I saw him back then. And this actually was aired on WXRT. That's how I got the recording of it, right, so that I could transcribe it. Yeah,
that's really good.
But some incredible musicians back there. Pistol Pete was who usually is on guitar, but he was on keyboards that night. Jeff Rio on drums, and I forget who was on bass that night. But just some incredible players. So getting in front of some people playing live, working out the jitters.
Yeah.
And just trying to have fun. Once you get past that point, once you can, if you're nervous and then you get past that point,
Then you can
then those nerves work for you,
sure.
and then you're with the folks. You know, you're with the crowd, and you're in it.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to get to that point where you can jump off.
Well, I'm really proud of you. I mean, just
Thanks.
really thrilled to see you out there because I've always thought you should be getting out there more.
Yeah, people have been telling me that for a long time. So,
And I'm sure
Finally
your confidence
listened.
will grow just by being out there. And I think maybe you sort of plateau at some point, don't you? Do you find yourself that in order to grow further as a musician, you really need to work with other musicians?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have to be, in my opinion, you also have to be in front of a live crowd.
Because there's a certain energy.
The energy has to be there. There's Pistol Pete
Oh, yeah.
singing there.
A little distorted. It's Jerry's Samsung. What is it?
All right, I don't have a fancy iPhone like you, but
And the
No,
better
I'm
I
just
get, the better I get at my instrument, the more confident I get that way. Then the more you can focus on connecting with the audience, making eye contact, looking around. Because right now I'm still trying to make sure I'm playing what I want to play.
play.
Yeah, well, I just noticed that from Allie's playing with piano, just getting lessons is fine, but then when she actually started getting involved with her youth group and getting with other musicians, she has, exponentially, her skill.
Right. That's what you have to
Exploded.
do. And you always want to play with people who are better than you are.
Yeah, because you're going to rise
it
to.
just forces you to play better, and it's really, really true. It's not just a platitude or a saying. When you're up there with somebody who's really great, you have to bring your A game. Out of respect for the other players. I mean, at least that.
Right.
Because you want them to enjoy what you're playing too. They want to hear you play something that they're going to go, oh, that's interesting. So you're not going to just kick back like you're in your room and, okay, I'll try something here. And then, no, you really have to bring it.
I think it's they say going out of your comfort zone.
Like a guest star on a TV show, like somebody on Star Trek or something, right? You have to bring your A game if you're the guest star.
That's true. But
it's like
I just want to say, because I saw the performance, I've seen you actually play several times after, and I'm just noticing with your style. You said like you were drawing from Dion Payton, who's a pretty prominent blues guy,
Right.
On
On that particular one.
Yeah,
I
no,
was.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying, but I'm just as a point of reference, because that's one thing I remember from watching him back. Because I would be with you at the Kingston Mines or watching him with the 43rd Street Blues Band, and one thing I did really like about his playing was the fluidity of it.
Yes.
And the fact that it was because I'm not big on like playing things choppy, and I know that people kind of that's a style, but what I liked about your playing, and you talk about like somebody like Pink Floyd who plays hitting something there.
That's right.
Playing David Gilmour, and they have kind of melodic fluidity approach.
Right.
So it's like, to me, it's kind of just easier on ears. One note just seems to kind of glide into the other note. And what I was noticing about your style is that at least a lot of time is that you play in that kind of way, very kind of lyrical, fluid. The notes do really seem to fit, even when you're kind of putting emphasis on certain notes. It just still it's very easy to listen to. It's an easy listening thing, but not in a boring way, but in like a kind of a soul satisfying way, if you will. That's all I want to say.
I think musically, what you were trying to describe might be considered what they call legato,
Oh, okay.
where the notes flow into one another as
Yeah.
opposed to a lot of starting and stopping
See,
type of thing.
not to get all weird metaphysically, but I think there's an energy in that. When you're hearing something and you're hearing it kind of one thing flowing, that's the energy flowing one into another. If you start and stop, then the energy kind of feels clipped. And then, and maybe sometimes that's good for dramatic effect, but as a rule, I would find it very irritating to listen to somebody who's like,
Right.
and it
Right.
would just, I kind of like it where it's just like, ba-da-da-da-da, and goes into the next phrase, into the next phrase, and it just, to me, it's a soul satisfying thing to hear that. So,
On the other
Yeah.
side of that coin, though, you also want to leave space
no, I
for
understand
other
that too.
people to make their statements.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's a learning experience.
Right.
to get that feel.
But I think some of the best things is that you're just playing and you look up and you just see these people looking at you, people smiling at you, and you just want to give them your best. You know? And that experience alone, you can't get that staying at home and playing in your room.
Yeah, it's more than just a technical thing. I mean, when it does get to a certain level where, again, it's that human connection, and if if the music doesn't get that human connection, then to me it's kind of a waste of time.
And the thing I like so much about blues too, I guess in a lot of ways, all music does this, but the blues is really about the storytelling more so than the music even, because it's really about somebody reporting what they've experienced in life, and they're like giving you a report of what they experienced, and then other people out there are going to hear that and they're going to say, yeah, I haven't had that exact same experience, but close enough, or maybe I did have that exact same experience, and then you can relate to people that way by sharing your stories.
Well, I'm going to have to come out to see you. I'm going to have to take the day off of work for the next day or something. So I make sure I'm sticking around for when you get on there, 11 o'clock or whatever you start.
Yeah, it does kind of go late because the house band always does their first set by themselves.
Right.
And then they start calling up the jammers. So it gets kind of late.
And this was the Uptown, right? In Westmont, Illinois.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Right by the train station, across the street from where Muddy Waters' house was on Adams Street.
And you go there sorry.
I'm sorry, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Every other Wednesday, right? You've been doing that?
It's the second Wednesday and the last Wednesday.
I see. Okay.
Of every month.
So it may not all necessarily work out for every other, but
maybe someday they'll have an every Wednesday sort of thing.
Well, I just want to, it's not the Uptown Bar, it's the Uptown Lounge. Is that the name of it?
I think it's just called the Uptown.
Uptown,
It's just called the Uptown.
Yeah,
I didn't see any lounges in there.
Okay, because I just wanted, because people will like look it up on the internet and maybe want to know what the official name is so that it'd be easier. I guess you could put the Uptown Westmont, it's good enough.
That'll do it.
Well, cool. Thanks again. I mean, that's great. I want to see more of you out there.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. I want to see you play the circuit. I want you to find other places and.
Well, I thought about that, but these guys, they work 7 days a week, and sometimes it's 2 gigs a day.
Wow.
More than 1 gig a day. I mean, and you might do like a dinner set in Naperville, and then you have to be in Glenview by 9.
Yeah.
And you're playing there.
Right.
And then private parties. So these players, they work hard. It's a hard life.
Yeah.
And you're tearing down and setting up and doing the driving. We're not even talking about touring here. This is all
local, playing locally.
And it's a hard life.
Yeah.
The Smorgasbord Radio Show.
All right, moving on to the next topic. Just a little break there. Hey, before I forget, I just remember, before we started this show today, we were loading up the lounge because we're making a full afternoon out of this thing because it's been a lull. And after I got out of the hospital, I had a creative burst. I started thinking, I've got some ideas for the show, and I've got enough material here for 2 shows. So we're going to have to break this up into do 2 segments because I don't want to do a marathon 4 hour. No one ever listens to that stuff. It's a podcast. It's supposed to be very easily digestible on a treadmill, on a way to work or something, not a 4-hour thing. So we're going to break it up. So we are doing 2 shows today, but sorry. We started the show, before the show, loading up the studio with all of our goodies. The coffee, the beer, the pretzels.
Yeah.
And
we blew a fuse.
5 minutes before we're going to go live. The coffee maker, I think it was the Keurig coffee.
That was it.
Should not have brought that thing down here. That was the thing that put us over the edge, not the other 20 pieces of audio equipment here. About 6-7 years ago, believe it or not, when we first started this, we were working out of a single power outlet down here. And I said, this is not good news as we continue to expand. I can't have 20 things coming out of the same power. So I had
some work done.
Yeah, I had 4 switches put in here, power switches on the wall here. And it's divided up and the amps are upped. Yeah, that's my technical explanation of what we did. But anyway, I keep adding stuff. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Well, today the coffee maker put it over the edge. Everything went down. The whole basement lights went off. So I know my limit now.
And we're not hardware store kind of guys. So we're like,
Oh, it's got to be.
Well, I think you blew a fuse. Yeah, well,
I got a circuit breaker. And I'm
which
just
one
flipping
is it? I don't know.
I don't know. How's this? Oh, you just turned that off. Oh, that's not it. I finally found the thing that says basement. Oh, I should have been the first thing I looked for instead of turning off the upstairs.
Let me tell you somebody who works in maintenance.
Oh, yeah, the maintenance guy. He should have been over there.
Yeah, I should have been, but I wasn't. But labeling
Labeling is key.
of your circuit breaker box is very key because you'll be like, what the? And you'll literally be turning on and off everything in your house. Or
Yeah.
whatever, just to figure out which one's the one.
Yeah.
So label, very important.
Another story that just comes to mind when we had our house, when I grew up at my childhood home in Naperville, you guys were out there. That's when we first met. I was living in that house. It was new construction. My dad sort of designed it. He was the architect for it. And he contracted out the builders that we could afford. The electrician, the plumber, all that sort of thing. Well, our electrician, in hindsight, I mean, I was 12 at the time, so I didn't know what was going on, but my dad told me later that these guys were stoned all the time on the job. So after we moved in, we were finding so many defective things with the electricity. There would be like the back porch, the side deck had a lamp outside, but it had no switch on the inside to turn it on or off. It was just,
Oh boy.
The other funny thing was we had a whirlpool up in the master bedroom, and my parents' room had their upstairs was only the bedroom and the bathroom. And so sort of they had their own little hideaway up there, but they had a whirlpool, and the first time they wanted to use the whirlpool bath, they couldn't get it to work. Oh, sorry. I kind of jumped around the story. I blew the punchline. The punchline is there's a switch in the guest room bedroom downstairs that we could never figure out exactly what it controlled. And these guys were like, and so one night, I think my dad was trying to get the bathtub to work, and he's got the electrical, what do you call the thing that tests the circuit? Just
Circuit tester.
Circuit tester. Thank you. That's what you use to test a circuit.
Right.
It's like, I'm not getting any power up here. So what is it? And then my dad realized, oh, the switch in the bedroom and downstairs. And sure enough, the whirlpool started
Well, you
up.
could really mess with somebody's evening
Yeah.
in the whirlpool.
I know.
With that switch.
Well, we sold the house and we never told the next owners that little secret. So I don't know if they ever ran into the same problem, and how would they even know? Anyway, long story. That's what the beer will do.
Wow. By the way, I think my job here is
yeah.
the official counter.
Yes.
How many people are watching?
Yes, you are the social media. You're the social media deck. Well, how are we doing?
Right now, we're the only ones watching.
Are we sure about that? Did you refresh the page?
Oh, no, I didn't.
No.
You want me to do that?
No, it won't make any difference. I'm just kidding you. Right. We are. I don't know if I opened this
We're
up.
watching ourselves.
We're
right now.
streaming this live on YouTube. So I don't know how to nobody, which is just like our high school radio program. No, we had listeners.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Yeah, thank you. Even on New Year's Eve, we can always count on you for being out there. Well, this is our first time. I don't know how to publicize this. I should have shared it. I don't know. It is 1:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday though, too. So, yeah, that's it. If we had done this Saturday night, I think during the next bit, when we play some music or something, I will share it to my main Facebook page, and then that will really take things off. So April 18th, did you hear about the end of the world was supposed to happen this past week again? Did you hear what?
The end of the world as we know it.
So there was a conspiracy theory on the internet. I'm surprised you didn't follow this, Jerry, because I know you're big on the conspiracy theories. Yeah. In fact, you started a few on your own. I think you're still suspicious of the jet stream.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're pumping some chemicals
Somewhere.
Well, last week, there was a Twitter user by the name of Straight Away. He received a strange voicemail from an unknown number. The voicemail, which I'm going to play here in just a second because I'm well prepared, listed off a series or a number of different military call signs, such as Sierra, Delta, Alpha. And it goes on for about a minute. And the person behind the Twitter account, his name is Ty. I wonder if it's the guy who did the Beanie Babies.
You think so?
Maybe. What's he doing these days? He was right. He was rightfully freaked out by this and confused by the cryptic message. So let me.
Alpha, November, Golf, Echo, Romeo, Sierra, Oscar, Sierra, India, Tango, India, Sierra, Delta, India, Romeo, Echo, Foxtrot, Oscar, Romeo.
So this goes on for about a minute. And so the question is, what does the message say? Well, if you listen to the whole thing and wrote down every call sign and you get the message that reads, danger SOS. It is dire for you to evacuate. They are not human. And then it gives you a string of numbers at the end. 042933964230 SOS, danger SOS. So
That was a Tommy Two-Tone song, wasn't it?
8675309. Yeah, I think you're right. I wrote this down. What is LARP? That stands for live action
Oh yeah.
reenactment. So they thought this was something like they were
like a drill sort of
like
thing.
a drill of some sort. So what's the story here? So somebody pointed out.
I actually know what LARP means, live action role play.
That's it. Thank you. Oh man, I'm glad that's why I had you out here. Live action role play. So he thought that he might have been caught up in something like that. So somebody then pointed out on the social media page after he posted this that the number was a coordinate, as the digits were too long to be a phone number. And after plugging in the coordinates, they found that the exact location was where the crashed Malaysian flight MH370 from a few years ago. A strange evolution to this strange case was about to get a lot stranger when he started to get messages in his inbox, starting with one that said, oh man, I'm not prepared here. Where is it? Yeah, I know. Some strange messages here. Anyway, started getting these messages, and it says it was like in a different language, and all of a sudden it says swap to Indonesian, and it got converted to evacuate. Please send help. There are prisoners. This is the collapse of the nations. And then it keeps going on, and he was able to figure out that they are taking over on 4/18/18. And I don't know, there's a bunch of numbers and stuff, and I don't know. It started to escalate. So anyway, the world was supposed to end this past Thursday or whatever it was, and so we didn't.
How do we know it didn't?
How do we know we haven't converted to another timeline without us knowing it?
Maybe there was a rapture. Hey, that's why we have no viewers.
That's
We're
right.
the only ones left.
Oh God, we're left behind. Darn it. Oh, this is gonna suck.
I knew there was a reason for that. Okay.
But no, it's the sad thing, and how geeky I am. When you were showing on the computer screen of the foreign language there,
Yeah.
the very exact thought in my mind was, that's probably Indonesian.
Oh, very good.
I am such a geek.
You know your stuff.
Yeah, it's sad.
Well, maybe you can take this up and find out what happened, because I lost it after.
Maybe it's the end of the world for Indonesia. Well, they're still
Maybe.
around, though.
Now, if you got a message like that, how would you respond? What would you do?
I don't know. I probably would have gone down the same path as this guy. This guy was very resourceful. I would not have had the patience. I wouldn't have recognized that those were military terms, and I would
Well,
never.
Foxtrot, yeah.
Yeah, I know Foxtrot, but I wouldn't have thought, "Ooh, I got to write down these letters and come up with this message." I do find it strange that this voicemail was left for the guy.
I think I might have started, but I don't know if I would have gone as far down the path as he did. But I probably would have gotten the letters. Let me write out what they say.
Yeah.
I would have gone that far probably.
Well, speaking of conspiracy theories, have you guys been intrigued by this whole Mattress Firm thing? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's a strange situation.
When I was picking you up this morning, David, I saw there was a Mattress Firm right outside your intersection there. And there's probably one a little further down.
Most likely.
If you go to Google and you type in Mattress Firm on Google Maps, you will probably most likely find multiple mattress firms within your area, likely even on the same street. In fact, if you start to type in the URL bar. Why are there the first thing that we'll type up is, why are there so many Mattress Firms? You know, the predictive search.
You're right.
Because people are wondering what's the deal with Mattress Firms. And so just speaking where I live here, we had 2 Mattress Firms built within 3 blocks of each other when there was already a Mattress Firm existing. Now, so I've been doing some research on this because there's quite a bit of this out there. And I think there's like 3,500 Mattress Firms in the U.S. It's the largest one now. And people are saying there's just way too many stores. I mean, think about how often do you buy a mattress? They say every 7 to 10 years, but I haven't bought one in probably 15, 20 years.
Well, that's the crazy thing about it, too. It was the crazy thing about it, too, is that it's not just the Mattress Firm. There are also a lot of other mattress locations, too, that have a lot of locations. So it's like all these mattress stores for something that, like you said, people buy every, like, maybe 8 to 10 years.
And the strange thing about it, when I drive by these places, there's nobody inside.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people report, too.
I mean, is there really that much of a demand for mattresses? So there's a big theory about there's some like money laundering going on here. And I was looking at the history of money laundering. Did you know that where the term comes from? It goes back to Al Capone. Apparently, he used to buy laundromats and, to commingle the illegal profits from prostitution, booze, all that sort of thing, and merge that with legitimate sales from whatever mattress, laundromat.
Yeah.
So that's where the term laundering. I didn't know that. And of course the conspiracy goes, well, where do you hide your money?
In your mattress.
Aha!
It comes together.
So there was a guy that went undercover there's a YouTube video out there. He goes undercover and he decides to go into a Mattress Firm store and just talk to an employee about it. So the first person he walks into, he says, "Hi, I'm a journalism student. I'm supposed to interview somebody and I just wanted to come in here and have you heard about, there's something on the internet about," and the guy cuts him off and he says, "Yeah, I heard about that. We're not talking about that." And he turns around and leaves. I'm like, whoa, that was suspicious. But then he goes to him, and this guy coming with information. He's like, "Oh yeah, I could explain that. Basically, we come into town and we'll buy up competing mattress stores, and we'll take over that lease until the lease, comes due, and then we'll determine which store is the most profitable, and we'll close the other store." So basically, making their own monopoly. They purchased Sleepy's. But I don't buy that because I told you that they just built 2 brand new Mattress Firms, new construction in my town. What's the deal?
Yeah, they're not taking over existing space, is what you're saying.
Exactly. So
Just walk in. Give me 20 on broken leg in the third or something like that. See what they say. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they're taking bets there.
that's right.
Yeah, there you go. Off-track betting.
Yeah. So anyway, that was kind of cool. I just thought we talk about some conspiracy theories there.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's actually quite a few, you were talking about videos that this one guy did, but there are quite a few videos dealing with the Mattress Firm conspiracy on YouTube. So it's obviously a big thing.
Yeah. I'm getting a signal in my headphones here. We need to break away for something very urgent here. We'll be right back.
This is breaking Baba news. Indian lowest caste Dalit man killed for owning horse. A young farmer from lowest rung of India's caste hierarchy has been beaten to death. Apparently for owning and riding a horse. Police in Gujarat state said 3 upper caste men had been detained for questioning. The victim's father said his son had been warned not to ride the horse as this was an upper caste privilege. Dalits are considered outcasts and are generally those who are street sweepers and latrine cleaners. Owning a horse is seen as a symbol of power and wealth in India. A senior police officer said other possible motives had not been ruled out. Pradeep Rathod, 21, was found dead in a pool of blood near Timby village in Gujarat state late on Thursday. The horse was also found dead nearby, his father said. In a complaint filed to police, his father said his son had loved horses, so he had bought him one. Oh, my son's love for horses led to his murder, the father said, according to AFP news agency, which has seen the statement. Oh, about a week ago when I was riding the horse with my son, one of the persons from the upper caste, Kshatriya community, warned us not to ride the horse in the village. He said that people of Dalit community cannot ride horses. Only Kshatriya can ride horses. He also threatened to kill us if we did not sell the horse, the complaint read. India has a history of attacks and discrimination against the Dalit community, formerly known as untouchables, reports the BBC South Asia editor Anbarashan Ethrinjan. Discrimination on the basis of caste is outlawed in India, but remains widespread across the country. This is Breaking Baba News.
Hey, wow.
That's heavy duty.
I could see why that came over the hotline that way.
I've never heard Baba with that much.
Not bad for a 75-year-old man. He was really stirred up about that one.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
so. Do we know what caste the Baba is?
That is a very good question. You know what? We're going to have to find that out.
By the way, I just think that what you just pointed out there in that story is like something that maybe we should think about in the United States and may have something like, you know, like they always like this big hashtag thing. I think we should have hashtag real prejudice.
Yeah.
That's real prejudice right there.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
Not perceived, not, somebody died. So that's bad. Well, that's pretty good. I hope we hear more from Baba.
Yeah. I guess since we've been doing the show more often, he might actually want to come back because he said, I'm over here until you guys are getting ready back, doing the thing on a more regular basis because I was doing one every year. And so he said, I'm out of here. And he had the restaurant, but he said, I'm too old to be running this restaurant. I'm turning that over to my son. I'm going back home. So that's where he is. And he's just been sending in these things through whatever method he sends them in. Usually his Dropbox.
Oh, there you
This
go.
one was a live feed. So this was pretty urgent.
The thing he did last time that you and I did the podcast, he had some very good information relating to that holiday.
Oh, the holy holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's some good, sort of insight into Hindu culture.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I think it's a good question. I think next week, or the next episode, he's going to have to, I'll ask him to talk about the caste system because, yeah, I'm interested to learn more about it. So we'll see what happens there. Totally a non sequitur here, but I got a hold of, we're going into a little bit more of a social statement here. So Jerry, last time you were out here, we were talking about gender pronouns a little bit, but we didn't really get into it too much because I wasn't prepared. But
By the way, at last count, I think it's up to 279 different genders.
yes. And here's just a few of them. This is from an old list.
Oh, yeah. I've seen some of these.
You want to read some of those?
Let's see. Binary, butch,
Oh, I knew Butch.
bigender, cisgender. Well, we're all cisgender.
We're all
here.
cisgenders. You want to tell us what that is?
A term used to describe someone whose gender identity all aligns with the sex assigned to them at birth. Well, we have a dead name gender. Didn't know about that one.
What's that?
How some transgender people refer to their given name at birth. So actually, it's not specifically a gender thing. It's more about their name. But you have demigender, a catch-all term for all identities that only have a partial connection to a certain gender. Demi-boy and demi-girl also frequently used.
Yeah, I think you could stop.
Yeah, no.
Well-
my head's already starting to spin.
Yeah, well, this is this came from a college syllabus, an Illinois college syllabus, and it's interesting here that this would actually fit. It's under gender pronouns, and here, let me just read this. This is an instruction to the class on how they need to conduct themselves. This follows the ground rules for discussion, being open and being, you speak from your own experience instead of just generalizing. Don't
Tolerance.
say, tolerance, all that. So right after that, they get into gender pronouns. Okay, here's what it says. When we use pronouns like she or he to identify a person, we might be making an assumption about that person's gender that differs from that preferred gender identity.
That person's preferred?
That person's preferred gender identity. Some people express their gender identity ambiguously, meaning you might not know which pronoun to use just by looking at them and have to make an assumption. For other people, appearances can be deceiving. Even people who clearly look to be one gender may actually identify as a different gender than you would assume. When somebody has a different gender identity than you would assume that means a different pronoun. So, how do we avoid making incorrect assumptions about gender pronouns? Ask. Or use gender-neutral pronouns like they or them, which of course goes against everything we learned about in our English class.
A singular person can't be a they.
That's right. So we get that asking for, we understand that asking for people's pronouns could be awkward. Here are some tips to help you become a kick-ass pronoun asker. Okay.
Well, hold on. Did they actually?
That's what it says. This is in the college syllabus.
Oh my God. You're right.
Kick things off by first offering up your own preference and asking for theirs. So you say, I use masculine pronouns and I want to make sure that I address you correctly. What is your preferred pronoun? Now recognize that while this might make some people confused, it's also an awesome opportunity to explain why you're doing it. And it will really mean something to those misidentified or care about the issue. Don't expect, here's the thing. Don't expect that if you ask once, you're set forever. People's gender identities can change, so check in. So I guess you have to start every conversation. One great way is to ask for preferred pronouns. One way to ask for preferred pronouns is to incorporate preferred pronouns into introductions, particularly in student organization meetings. So for example, you could say, hey, I'm Schiller. I'm from Springfield. I'm a first-year film major, and my preferred pronoun is she, her.
I think somebody's getting a splitting headache listening to this. Or maybe you both are. I don't know.
By the way, total number of people watching right now, 1.
Okay, thanks for keeping that up. And that's still us, right?
That's right.
Okay. I'm glad we didn't lose us.
By the way, I prefer to be considered a two-spirit. That's my gender designation, yes. So,
And
I just like to be called bro. Hey, bro. Hey, brah.
okay, brah. So here's frequently asked questions about gender neutral language. Okay. So number 1, what do you mean by gender neutral pronouns? Loosely speaking, a pronoun is a part of speech that takes the place of other nouns. Other pronouns are I, we, he, she, all. Really? It, they, their, etc. Gender pronouns are those that indicate gender. So he, she, him, her, hers, his, himself, herself. All others like it, one, and they are gender neutral. That makes sense so far. You probably already use some gender neutral pronouns like they, their, them. Suppose you're expecting a call from someone of an unknown gender. You might say something like, if the person from the insurance company calls, tell them I'll call them back tomorrow. We all say that.
all right.
So the next question, why would people feel uncomfortable about a gender pronoun, male or female? For many people, gender is simple and clear cut. Either gender identity aligns with biological sex or gender presentation falls closely enough within traditional norms that most people assume the appropriate he or she. Many other individuals, however, present their gender identity and expression ambiguously, causing traditional assumptions about gender to be irrelevant or incorrect. Additionally, some people may feel more comfortable using a pronoun different from the one associated with their biological sex or apparent gender expression. Moreover, gendered pronouns like he and she are uncomfortable and limiting for some who prefer gender-neutral pronouns. So what do you say in those cases? So they is acceptable, but the new one is Z.
And Zer. Don't forget Zer.
And Zer. Yes.
Those are actual words. Yeah, I think the claim, those that we don't correctly guess their pronouns or get to know their pronouns will get the feeling what has been called gender dysphoria. Now, I think personally think this is a misapplication of the term, because usually it's for transgender people who are transitioning from whatever their particular gender, if they're a woman transitioning to a man or vice versa, and somebody misidentifies their gender in that respect, they can feel, not even that. It's more specific to like what they feel, was what spurs them to go from being a woman to a man or a man to a woman is the fact that in the body that they see, they can't identify with the body that they're in. They're kind of their inward feeling, partly I think biological, psychological, tells them that, I may be in this male body, but I feel like I'm a woman. And that's kind of what the term originally meant, is that if you were having dysphoria about your gender or your sex, more specifically, it was because you felt you were in the wrong body for it. It's not that you were like, well, one day you felt like you're a man, another day you felt like you're a woman. It was a little more concrete than that. It was more like, yeah, I'm in this male body, but I feel like I'm a woman. I feel like I'm a woman, and that's what it really was about. Mm-hmm. Just wanted to clarify that term.
Hey, you've done your research.
Well, if you're going to use one of those pronouns that's not the normal he, she, let's say, then you just have to give someone a break. If they say the wrong thing, just say, I prefer to be called this or that. And then from now on, they will probably.
Don't put the onus on me to have to find out first.
And
don't be offended if I use the wrong one, because to me, you look like a girl.
Yeah, you look like a girl, so I said she, and if you like to be called something else, then tell me. And then I will from now on. When
I was a preteen, people thought I was a girl because of my hair, and I didn't get bent out of shape. I mean...
True. But I think what we're dealing with in society, especially unfortunately with young people today, is that we're dealing with what we call an offense culture. People are like, want to be professionally offended. Mm-hmm. If you don't get something right, or if you misjudge it or misguess, you're ready to jump on it and say, oh, you offended me. Oh, you are transphobic or whatever. And they will just find a reason to be offended and to get twisted out of shape about it. And this is just another venue for this to be expressed, which I think is not a very healthy mindset.
Well, they were trying to pass some legislation out in California.
Well, they did in Canada. They did actually do it in Canada, where if you willingly misgender somebody, even if they tell you, it's like, no, I feel like I'm a Zer, and say, no, I'm going to call you, you look like a woman, so I'm going to call you her.
Oh, even after being corrected?
Yeah, then that you could actually be fined, and if you keep on doing it, could actually see jail time.
Yeah, they were trying to do that in California.
And there was a guy up in Canada who ended up becoming sort of a prominent, he was a professor, I think, at the University of Toronto, and he became a prominent advocate for like free speech sort of things, because they felt that this particular law that they were passing in Canada was working against free speech, and his name is Jordan Peterson. And if you ever look him up on the internet, he's all over there, and he's talking about a lot of this stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff out there.
By the way, Chris, what do you identify as?
We need to start every show this way now. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
Hi, this is Chris with the SmorgShow podcast, and I choose to identify as a male.
Oh. Maybe next time I'll identify as an attack helicopter, but that's depending.
My wife does some social work, and she's got something going on at a school, and one of the girls actually identifies as a wolf.
There is that too.
Yeah. How do you work with that? I don't know what you're supposed to say. And I don't know if that's a Z.
Wolf.
Yeah. So, speaking of some crazy stuff going out there, have you heard this about this new dangerous trend that teens are stirring up out there. It's the condom-snorting challenge.
Is this a step up or away from the Tide Pod thing?
Yeah. Yeah, the Tide Pod, you heard of that? People eating those?
Well, I've heard of it.
Yeah. I mean, you can go back decades of this crazy stuff. Like, I don't know if you remember the toad licking, the toad sucking.
Yeah.
Where
you're supposed to get high off of that or
something. Like the Colorado river toad was one specific species in particular that had this hallucinogen. That's the word I'm looking for. In the bumps on the toad.
Yeah, well, there is actually a toad.
There is one.
There is a toad, a Sonoran, a desert toad, who actually, if you were to excrete from its glands, it's got glands that excretes stuff from. I don't know exactly where, and if you actually refined it, it would actually turn into a usable form of DMT, which is one of the most powerful hallucinogenics on the planet, if not the most.
And it's probably a cardiac toxin as well, because some people were dying from this.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, it goes back a while, and now social media doesn't help because it really just
feeds into it.
So it's exactly what this condom snorting challenge is exactly what it sounds like. Teens are taking to the internet, they're posting videos of themselves snorting up a condom up one nostril and inhaling it until it hopefully reemerges into the mouth. And
actually, I've seen a video, but it's pretty disgusting.
I've got an audio for it. Here, 1 second here.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Well, the latest teen trend sweeping the internet is not only dangerous, it's disgusting. Reporter Angela Greenwood from our CBS station in Sacramento, KOVR, explains.
I haven't done nothing that stupid.
It's the latest online challenge.
It's just another thing to add to the shocking list.
That has teens doing this.
That's not quite right.
Called the condom-snorting challenge. Teens put unwrapped condoms into one of their nostrils and then inhale until it comes out of their mouth.
Really? I think I've seen like a stupid video about it.
How gross is that?
A challenge craze that comes with deadly consequences.
It's almost as if you're putting saran wrap up your nose.
Not only can snorting condoms cause infection and sinus issues,
30 milligrams is the dose that he needs.
But Sacramento pediatrician Dr. Daniel McCrimmon says it can lead to suffocation.
It could bypass the throat and then lodge into the trachea.
But just like others before it, the Tide Pod challenge, even multiple types of suicide challenges, teens are ignoring the dangers. Sacramento 7th grader Jordan Love says he doesn't get it.
This is dumb. Like, why would you do that?
A question most of us have. Dr. McCrimmon says there's likely an underlying issue.
But I think the common denominator then with all of these experimentations is that the kids just don't sense a feeling of personal happiness to sustain them. And they're looking for things to make them happy.
Never-ending trends putting teens at risk.
Everything would be locked up and put away and secure in our house.
I'm sorry, those.
Okay.
I say bring back snorting the cinnamon. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah. That's right. That was up there, too.
I don't know. I'm old-fashioned.
No, that was intelligent.
I'm old-fashioned. I just like, when I want to snort something, I want to snort illegal drugs. That's all I do.
There you go. You heard it here. All right.
No, I don't mean that's a joke. It's a joke, folks.
All right. We're over 1 hour. We've got two more quick things I want to hit on here. And the next one is a brand new feature. I'm very excited about this. It took a lot of negotiating to get this guy on here. I don't know if you've seen the Geoffrey Gleason tech tutorial videos that are out there on the internet. They're fantastic. This guy he really knows his tech stuff.
Absolutely fascinating.
Well, what's great is that when Geoffrey explains things, you really understand less than you did before about the computer.
He does take you back.
He has a knack for that.
He does take you back to the basics.
The basics were 1988.
So Geoffrey is here. He's going to be doing a new weekly feature, or however how often we do these shows. But he's going to be doing an audio sort of a what's the word I'm looking for?
Tutorial?
No. Oh, let's just play this. We'll come back and we'll comment. But this will be great. Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Geoffrey Gleason, and this is Geoffrey Gleason Tech Talk. Who is Geoffrey Gleason? Well, I like tech, and I have devoted my life to educating people just like you on how to work the complexities of computers and the internet. I have a YouTube channel, and I will share that information with you at the end of this video. This recording. This is my first podcast, and this is an extension of my YouTube channel, and so I want to introduce you to the basics in this first lesson. First of all, what can a computer do for you? People want to know, how useful is this thing? Am I going to get anything out of it? I'm going to spend a lot of money on this thing, and what can it actually do for me? I've seen a lot of science fiction movies, and I see big rooms that are filled with these computers. I just don't have the space for something like that. So I want to make sure that it is going to be useful in my home. Well, first of all, making the most out of a personal computer, which is what PC stands for, can eliminate all the clutter and the confusion that you have in your everyday life. It can actually replace basic things like the daily planner. If you got those Franklin planners, an address book, a phone book. Can you imagine not getting those big phone books anymore delivered to your house? I used to have so many of these things cluttering up my closet. And I always wondered, do I need to hold on to the old ones? Because what if my old phone numbers that I used to call are not in the new book? So that's another thing that goes away with a computer. A calendar, a notepad, file folders, papers. It's an endless string of things that go away if you get a computer. So all that space will be freed up for your new computer. Okay. You can even watch TV or watch DVDs, listen to music, the radio, organize your photographs. You can even send mail over the internet, which we're going to talk about next time. And even make phone calls, long distance phone calls. So it's my job as your tech advisor to show you how to do all of this with the least amount of strain and frustration and in just plain English language. So before we do that, we're going to have to talk about some basics. So first of all, getting online. In order to get online, you need a modem. A modem is what your computer uses to connect to another computer using the telephone line. Now, you can't use the telephone when the computer is using the line, because if you pick up the phone, you're going to hear this really loud staticky noise that's going to make your ear pop. So you don't want to do that. And you can't use the computer when you're making a phone call. So it goes both ways. Modems can send data at up to 56,000 bits per second. Can you imagine that? That's more than 5,000 bytes or letters per second. Many people still connect to the internet at home through a modem using what we call dial-up. But this is not really recommended. We've actually advanced to a faster way of doing it. People are now accessing the internet through a high-speed broadband connection, which is like a cable modem. Sometimes you hear it called a DCL. A DSL. A digital subscriber line is what that stands for. A broadband connection is basically, you need that in order to really watch big movies. And you can't really do that with a modem at the 56,000 bits per second. And, you know what? I think I'm running out of time here. So next time we're going to talk about how to work the keyboard, because you have to know how to type in order to go anywhere. You have to get out of the garage with your new car, so to speak. So anyway, as I mentioned at the start of this clip, I do have a YouTube channel. You have to know how to work the computer to get there. So maybe I'm going a little too fast. Next time, we're going to talk more about how to get online. Oh, I already told you that. How to use a keyboard. Once you learn that, then you can find my YouTube channel, okay? Oh, I got to tell you what YouTube is also. So we got a lot of ground to cover before we get to these more advanced things. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'm Geoffrey Gleason, and I'm your tech guy.
He reminds me of the pillow guy. That pillow guy?
You want to talk about the pillow guy?
Well, just that creepy commercial.
The My Pillow?
Where the couple gets up, they open up their medicine cabinet, and that pillow guy is inside the medicine cabinet talking to them. And then all of a sudden, they don't explain how he gets out of the mirror. They don't even explain that. He comes out of the mirror and he's magically in their room, and he's explaining why they shouldn't use a down pillow or memory foam.
I have to find this one. I haven't seen this.
And then at the end of the commercial, the guy, I guess you assume they're a husband and wife, the guy is wearing the same shirt as the pillow guy. They're wearing the same shirt.
So he's been converted. He's a believer now.
I guess that's what they're saying.
Crazy.
I'm gonna have to look that one up.
But it's a weird commercial, man. The guy is just inside the medicine cabinet. It's really creepy.
How are we doing on those listeners?
We have one.
We haven't lost any. We haven't lost any listeners. Okay.
No, just us.
That's good. And I think during the last clip, you were whispering to me, I think you're onto something. We are competing with the Barbara Bush funeral that's being streamed live. Now, that is why we are, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why nobody's listening right now.
I can understand that, competing with a national focus like that. I'd like to close out this song. I'm going to go back into the Wayback, this episode with a song from the old days. Goes back into the Wayback Machine. It's one of my early songs, my socially conscious song that I wrote in 1981 because it's Earth Day, or it's Earth Week now. We've expanded it to Earth Week, right? So this is my song that just speaks to it, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to play this, and then we'll come back and close out on SmorgShow Podcast.
Flowing through the river, slide is flowing to sea. Who knows if it will be around tomorrow, 'cause slide keeps flowing through the river to the sea. The fish that we love may be gone forever. Oh, life will just die when the slime floats to sea. Who knows when it will be the end? Forever, 'cause slime keeps flowing through the river to the sea, to the sea. Decomposition forever. Sewage forever. It's here again. No more life, no sin. Maybe here forever. It must be the end. Those words will be, and it must be. Who knows when it will go away? If ever, 'cause slime keeps flowing through the river. To the sea. To the sea. Decomposition forever. Sewage forever. Slime forever.
All right. Well, remind me never to play that song again, even as a going down memory lane kind of a thing. I didn't realize how long and how bad it was. So,
I think you're a little hard on yourself. You wrote those lyrics back when you were a young teenager.
14.
Exactly. And then, for a parody, that's actually
I thought it was
pretty good lyrics.
quite good.
Well, thank you, guys. You're my support system.
There you go.
Yeah.
As long as we're not your support hose
Yeah.
or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Somebody mentioned something. Oh, you mentioned Record Store Day. Who else mentioned something?
Record
else?
Store Day today.
Record Store Day. That's right.
Right.
And we're not there, but I think it's kind of cool. I went to the last few, and I don't know if they're handled the same way across the nation, but you can go to Record Store Day. They've got their own website, and you can search for stores in your area that are still doing this. But it's really to celebrate, the old vinyl and to support the entrepreneurs or the business owners of small record store shops.
Right.
It gets people to, get out and.
I still love going to a record store and just looking through their catalog of stuff, look at old albums and, the kind of condition they're in. The artwork you would see on the album covers back in the day. Quite good.
Yeah, I remember the first time Allie saw a turntable when I bought this one here in the studio. She had never seen one before. And she and her friend were playing around somewhere. And I said, hey, guys, come over here, check this out. I put an album on the...
What an amazing experience that must have been for you.
Yeah, I know. It was great.
To actually teach somebody what a turntable is.
Yeah, and they're looking at this thing like it was from another planet. And they're like, wow, how does that work? I don't understand how the music comes out of that, the grooves. It's like, I can't understand how it comes out of an iPod. So
yeah.
It's just bizarre. But anyway, so Record Store Day, you can go on, then you find the store in your area, and they'll usually have a list of albums that will be available for Record Store Day only, because bands will release a limited edition or exclusive merchandise, just a special release for Record Store Day and only make 500 copies, and then they spread it out across the country for the stores that are participating. It's a way to get collectors items and things, so I think it's pretty cool. But yeah,
well, I mean, they've been predicting the death of vinyl for decades.
Yeah.
Ever since the first CD started coming, I said, oh, vinyl's on its way out. It seems now, if anything, maybe CDs are going to kind of be more dying off. I don't think they'll entirely die off either, but because of downloading, it's just, I just download it on my computer or download it on my phone, and so you don't really even think about that. But at least the vinyl experience, I think people kind of look for that or want that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something, you pop a CD in a CD player, it's okay. But if you're actually putting a needle on the record and seeing, it's a different thing. If it's something that attracts you or something about it that, certainly people that are more old school like us, there's a definite nostalgia thing. But even say younger people, it's like, wow, look at this. That's how they used to do it. And that's pretty cool.
It's like the old classic jukeboxes too.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
those were great.
And they're actually starting to fire up the old factories, the plants for the vinyl records again. Some of the ones that have been closed and upgrading them again.
Well, this was because you guys never delved into it so much, but I kind of into dance music, electronic dance music especially. And one of the things that was very big in the community, because you had a lot of DJs, and they were for many years just still using vinyl. So they would have a particular track that a producer would put together on a computer or whatever in their little studio and have it, but they'd have to get it out. And back then, especially in the last decade, you didn't really have downloads you could do. So you would actually have to go to the record store, the disc jockey record store, if you will, that kind of focused on that, and buy the actual vinyl of the record.
Yeah.
And it was a big thing. Now DJs that do this sort of stuff, it's pretty much all digital now. And while they do have records, because they still have the turntables, they're just like dummy records. And then the dummy records would be hooked into some software and hardware that would have all of their digital files on their computer, and then they would just access it through these fake records, fake turntables.
Yeah. No, I just always remember liking to sit down with an album, look at the artwork, follow the lyrics.
Absolutely.
I guess one of the positive things about the digital age is that, remember, you probably had the experience of buying an album and there's like one good song on it that you bought it for. You had no idea how the rest of the album was going to be until you got it home and you're like, this thing sucks.
Right.
Now, at least you can pick and choose what you want to download.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, what a marathon. This ended up being a pretty long episode as it is. So I'm going to close this out because we're going to take a break and we're going to come back and do the next episode right after this one. I don't know when we'll release the second one, but we'll at least get one in the can in a little bit here. But
we get to go to the can.
Oh, wait. I think we wanted to close out with the blues one, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's stop that.
Oh.
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
All right.
So this was a good one. This was a little different. I think we're going to tap into a little bit more serious discussions on the next episode. We'll go into some uncharted territory where the show is concerned, which could be a good thing. I don't know. We've always tried to keep it lighthearted here, and I think we did sprinkle in a little bit of lightheartedness in the midst of
the craziness.
Yeah, the craziness. So that's just us. All right, this is the Smorgasbord Radio Show, SmorgShow podcast with Chris, Dave, and Jerry back together again. One night only. All right, we'll be back again very soon. Thanks for tuning us in. 312-95-SMORG is still our phone number. Feedback at smorgshowpodcast.com for any questions you have, like what's your gender? I don't know. Have a good one.
Remember, just call me brah.
Brah.